Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Anime Night in the Dojo. Today's featured show, Sakamoto Days, Season 1.
Yep, Sakamoto Days, Season 1, Episode 18. Welcome back to the dojo. I'm Ryu. That's Age. We're back for more Anime Night in the dojo. And good news, you guys, I'm not melting today, so I'm slightly more with it than I was in the recording session. That's fantastic. But, yeah, anyway, last we saw, Shin was taking on this super young kid as a super old man that he is at 21. It's just where we live. It's crazy. And Sakamoto tried to give away a bullet, and she wouldn't take it. Speculated that she might be related to the third member of like Sakamoto's big three of his graduating class or whatever. So we'll just have to see how this plane ride wraps up. Madness, very John Wick. We talked about that. There's probably going to have to be some shenanigans with the instructors that are remaining. I want to know what happened with the guy that went up into the, like carry-on compartment. We haven't seen what happened with him yet, and that doesn't have a payoff. I'm gonna be upset. Just a little bit. It's really not that important, but come on. You drew pretty big attention to it. So.
Yeah, for stuff like this, you usually want to, you usually actually do go out of your way to, like, spotlight at least a couple other significant characters. And right now we basically only have the girl and this guy.
Yep. So, anyway, as always, the link to the timer reaction is down there in the description. And hopefully the first pinned comment, assuming the stupid post goes through, struggling for some reason. I can't babysit that. I know I said this in every video, but I have to say it in every video because I can't expect everyone all of our stuff. So if it's not in the first pinned comment and it's not, and you guys can't click on the link in the description, just bookmark my Patreon and it'll be right there. That's the only stuff we're posting on Patreon right now. So it's all free. So it should just be there in a list of the same order that it comes out during the week. So it should not be hard to find. So anyway, we're going to get the timer set up here. Hopefully I don't tap it and reset it like I did with Dress Up Darling yesterday. And then I slammed my keyboard super hard last night and it didn't activate the damn hotkey for the timer. So hair trigger and then not hair trigger. It's madness. So either way, and then we'll see you guys on the other side of the edit here on YouTube for the review and the discussion. So here goes some. Well, alrighty then. This is totally part of the test, right? Plane exploding, killing the pilot, all that stuff. Shin getting tag along now. He's kind of latched on. So, well, once again, even if there is the no killing rule, I don't think Shin would have killed, a kid. 14. Give him a break.
Yeah.
So, we got the second half of the test here. Or the second part of the test, they paid off this character a little bit more. He looks like he's probably at least going to be part of this arc. You know what I mean? Characters as part of this arc with the sister, relative, whatever she is, of Sakamoto's her OG classmate.
Akira, the girl, potentially might become a major character going forward. This guy, he's going to be a major character for this arc, but I'm not sure if he's going to really stick around as a recurring cast member.
Right. Especially since they kind of needed to replace Heisuke and Lou. So that pretty much solved that problem, I guess. But
well, once again, we could still have the thing of Lou's taking the normal entrance exam rather than the transfer exam, so she could still potentially be involved in the school part.
Yep.
Once we get there, but we're still in the exam at the moment.
Right. So we'll just have to see where it goes with that. Once again, he is the super neat, clean freak. He has he wants to become part of the order. Shin kind of set him straight. It's not about knowing a bunch of people. You kind of need to just be one of the top 10 people out there. You know what I mean? One of the top 9.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's the whole thing. Is that the order's goal, role as an organization, is supposed to be the enforcers of the JAA to keep assassins in line and maintain order, but ultimately the order themselves are just the 9 strongest assassins in the JAA. It's nothing to do with connections or even or themselves. That's like the whole thing with the 3 other members who aren't really like actively participating in the order activities. They're parts of the order because they're part of the 9 strongest, even though they don't really like actually do order shenanigans.
Yep. And based on the fact that Kanaguri here, we got introduced to him, well, if he's a very successful filmmaker on top of being the way that he is, then yeah, he's definitely not going to be part of normal activities because he's basically JoJo's character.
Yeah, he's straight out of JoJo's, and is very much the freaking loose cannon, just does whatever the hell he wants, and everyone else has to kind of just deal with it.
Yep. So his introduction was pretty impressive. I mentioned here for anybody who doesn't understand what this is, and there might be people that just don't know. I'm not calling you out. It might not know. I'm going to tell you. His scarf looks like this because that's a film reel. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's that simple. So if you're wondering, it's like, what's the deal with the pattern on his scarf? It's a film reel because he's makes movies. That's what it looks like on film. You feed that through, and that's what it looks like. So anyway, that was a cool, just like a design for his character. He was using the director's like the thing that they used to cut. You know, I forget what that thing is called. It's like the I know it has a term for what it is, but you know, they put it in front of the screen and they cut. You know, they cut. And
I'm pretty sure it's just called the clacker.
Yeah, the clacker. Is that what it is? Yeah, but I'm sure everybody. I'm sure most people have seen it, like in movies where they like show off directors and they like have the guy come in front of the camera and go, "This is take 3," and he cuts it, and then it goes, and that shows where the editor is supposed to cut stuff.
Yeah, it might have a more technical term than that, but every time I've heard them referred to, I've always just heard them referred to as clackers.
Yep. So yeah, I thought it had a more technical name, but yeah, maybe not. So either way, that's what he was using. That's what he used to cut off all those dudes' heads because he yelled "cut" and decapitated them.
Yeah, he has blades on the inside of his.
So that was pretty interesting. So I'm sure he'll still be around doing random nonsense, like filming without consent. Yeah, that's depending on where you are, you have to consent to be on camera. Depends on literally in America. It depends on sometimes it depends on the damn county you're in. It's absolutely insane. I hate that. That's a thing. It's like, oh man, if I cross county lines, this could be happening. It's like, why? Freaking uniform, man. Come on.
Yeah, in most places it is illegal to film someone without their permission. So the law generally is pretty loose about it, to where the thing is basically like you're allowed to film someone unless they specifically say they don't want to be filmed. Then it's considered doing it against their permission. But like the default is it's generally assumed, unless stated otherwise, that people have permission to be filmed.
Yep. Because, you know, things like dash cams exist, you know, all that kind of stuff. Has saved a lot of people some aggravation, because there's a lot of people out there that, you know, try to commit insurance fraud and, like, will brake check you and then throw their car into reverse and then jump on the hood of your car and claim you slammed into them. It's like, tell that to my dash cam, nerd. At the end of the day, even if you don't have one, you might as well say you do if somebody tries to pull that bullshit on you. Just point to some weird thing on your dash and say you got a dash cam. So good luck proving your point. They'll probably back off. So, but still, it's probably still a good idea to have an actual dash cam. It's a very good investment if you drive a lot. Because the amount of people that try to pull that nonsense these days is getting staggering. So...
yeah, like even if you're in an actual accident and not a scam, a lot of times the footage can really help you out in the insurance side of things to prove that like you are not at fault.
Right. But yeah, so the sequence was solid. They paid off the guy in the overhead the carry-on place and immediately got, you know, RKO'd by Shin, but it is, at least they paid him off. That's all that mattered to me. he wasn't going to be that important. Just the guy doing the, wait for the majority of the field to thin itself out and or exhaust itself, and then, like you said, the hyena method, pick the bones. All he needs is one bullet for himself, and he passes. But I mean, so...
Yeah, that's actually, honestly, his biggest mistake in that situation was Shin hadn't actually exhausted himself yet. Only the kid did. And the fact that he tried to take all 3 bullets rather than just taking 1. If he had just taken 1, there was a reasonable chance that Shin wouldn't have considered it to be worth the effort and potentially let him go.
Right.
But since he took all 3, Shin had no choice but to take them back from him.
Yep. And that's another kind of thing for these kinds of things where you're having to collect something, is you can, if you say you only need 1 bullet, but for every extra bullet you collect yourself and hold on to, that means 1 less opponent that you have to worry about in the next part. So
yeah, it's like, once again, compared to the hunter exam, the whole thing of you need your 1 specific ID tag from someone else, or 5 other tags that aren't your targets, like getting reason to potentially collect other ones.
Right. So
because that was like the whole thing, is you had people that were just collecting random tags in the event they couldn't get their targets as well.
Yep.
So that way they could either have the backup of potentially just getting 5, or potentially trade their extras off to people who do need those particular ones.
Yep. Either way, the pilot in this had some famous last words that I kind of brushed off, because I was like, well, surely they're in like a reinforced cabin, and a random like 9mm shot isn't just gonna freaking heat seek through, the cabin door and kill the pilot. Which
I imagine it was actually reinforced. It's just, once again, since this guy is part of the order, his gun probably was more than just a simple 9mm.
Yeah, probably. But I guess it's irrelevant, because then he blew up. He cut the plane in half with the explosion. So. Yeah. I mean, the pilot might have survived, but still, it's like, really? It's like, we don't have to concern ourselves with that. We're just flying the plane. It's like, well, and then you take 1 to the back of the head, and that's it, huh? Real bummer way to go out. So, they knew the risks, I'm sure. But,
well, yeah, once again, they were probably pretty confident that they were secure, because it probably was supposed to be a reinforced cabin. Especially with all the bullets flying all over the place that would have probably hit the cabin. I imagine it's just a thing of, once again, he's a member of the Order, and we already know that, people have basically magic guns.
Yeah, pretty much. So, either way, we got these random, side instructors that tried to play it off and have their own part to play, I'm sure, at some point in the future here after they land. So that was just a nice little side.
Yeah, they'll probably come back as part of the actual school. Because once again, they're supposed to be. Well, they were just labeled as administrators for the test, so that doesn't necessarily mean they have to be teachers at the school. Once again, the Order guy isn't.
Yeah.
He was just brought on by the other administrators to help administer the test.
Yep. So, either way, they did the whole. They had that random guy in the suit and tie talking about terminal velocity and doing some serious math that made sense. So the 2 things that happened in this was, I mentioned it during the live reaction too, was plane flies in a parabolic arc like that on the way down. So, they're falling very fast because of the pilot, nosediving and just, whatever. So at cruising altitude, if you just start nosediving, you become weightless, because that's just how physics work. So a lot of astronaut training is just done with parabolic arcs and stuff like that. They did it in archery.
Yeah.
That was realistic. Obviously, that's where I'm getting this. So,
yeah,
glad that you're not Lana.
Yeah, that is one of the main ways you either pay to experience 0G without actually going into space, or train for 0G if in the event you're an astronaut, is that they will do go up into the lower atmosphere and then have the plane drop to simulate zero gravity.
Yep. So we had that. That was correct. Nothing weird and crazy about that one. And then terminal velocity. Yes, hitting water is worse for you than hitting the ground. That's how it is.
Yeah, because of compression is a bitch, and water. Ground doesn't compress in on itself very much. It's basically roughly always the same hardness. Meanwhile, water heavily compresses in on itself and will become much, much denser the more force is applied to it. And so as a result, if you are diving into water, the faster you are going, the harder the water is going to smack you back.
Yep. So we got those two pieces of scientific madness that, were on point, and we didn't have to question whether they were full of crap or not. And then Akira here is first-rate seamstress, apparently. Nothing like stitching together a makeshift parachute on the fly in a high-pressure situation while you're falling at terminal velocity. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with her character going forward. Obviously, they did survive. This guy did get his pants back on. So you gotta have the gag character survive, otherwise what are you doing?
He did not pass the test, however.
Yeah, he did not pass the test, however, no.
So we'll probably not see him in the next exam bit unless the new admin coming in basically says that phase 2 didn't count because it wasn't actually part of the test.
Right. As you guys can see here, we got left on this shot. Oh boy.
Which, yeah, we will have to see what exactly she says, because once again, like the pilot said, normally there's not nearly this many casualties in the first phase. So she, like I said, might just basically write off the actual requirements of the exam with like the bullets and stuff like that, and basically just say, if you survived the first part, then you're going on to the next one.
Pretty much. So, either way, again, another solid episode. We got more of the cast for this arc anyway. Akira might be somebody who sticks around long term, just based on the connection to Sakamoto's former classmate, wherever she is. They are, whatever. And then we'll have to do with this apparent fangirl, because we've seen this freaking show before, right?
Yeah, the particular thing about this is just that, yeah, she has the Sakamoto plush and she's wearing a school uniform. So she either is young or at very least dresses up young.
Right. So the madness will continue. So that's all I got for this week. You got anything else, Age?
Yeah, we'll have to. A lot of what's going to happen next episode will hinge on this character. Whether or not they're a member of the Order, or who knows. Because once again, last thing we got left on with the other members of the Order was them saying that they'll probably have to call in the other 3, even though they don't want to.
Right. And we're still missing 2, so this person could very well be one of them. So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, people of YouTube, beyond however you're watching, we always appreciate you stopping by and hanging with us here in the dojo for more Anime Night in the Dojo on this with Sakamoto Days, Season 1, Episode 18. So have a good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you. Have a good one. See you next time.
Hey everyone, Victoria here. If you enjoyed the video, please consider pushing those like and subscribe buttons. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again for your time, and we hope to see you again in the future.